between Tom Robbins and Pynchon, which is more? I think you're more of a Tom Robbins guy, but you definitely put a lot of like Easter eggs in like.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Thomas Pynchon, and I've written about him, as I
Yeah,
have Tom Robbins. I do journalism a lot, cultural journalism,
yeah,
as
like
you
the
know,
Paris
like you do.
Review.
Yeah, I've written for the Paris Review
Oh,
and
let's
Vice.
tell that great story where you went to the Paris Review dinner.
Marie Vick and I went to a Paris Review dinner. You were not in New York at the time, and they had old copies of the Paris Review, and there have been hundreds of them on tables for people to take. And the
But there
table,
were centerpiece, weren't they
they
kind
were
of?
centerpieces, and the table we sat at just so happened that of all the hundreds of old Paris Review editions, the one sitting on our table facing us was the edition with your face on the cover, which was great.
I mean,
And
she told me like he asked the woman like, "Is this planned?" And it's like, no, it's just random. We just put
yeah, it
them
was
on.
totally random,
Yeah.
totally random. Gotta love those.
Well, to me, that's coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. That's another level.
I never heard that. I love that. I've heard coincidences is God's pranks. Yeah, I wrote for the Paris Review a lot.
We're talking
And
about Pynchon.
yeah,
Pynchon.
so Pynchon, I've written about Pynchon several times for the Paris Review. I think Robbins' books are far more reader friendly. Pynchon's can be very difficult and daunting. Characters can be cartoonish and come in and out, zing in and out. There's far too many characters just whizzing around. Aside from the protagonist, maybe one or two other characters, you don't really have a strong connection to any of the characters the way you do in Tom Robbins' books.
No, that's why I like you definitely don't let us forget and you weave people out in and out. One thing I really like, you talk about, I'm going to bring you back to your work. Um, you quote the poet and novelist Mario de Andrea.
Andrade, yeah,
Okay. We have two lives.
yeah,
And the second one begins when we realize we have only one.
yeah.
Um, I get the sense that you've already begun that second life, you know?
Well, that brings up death and awareness of death, and maybe even preoccupation with death, which I think it's fair to say I am. My mother died when I was 18, and by then I'd lost three of my grandparents by age 18 and a pet, a beloved pet. And I think by then, even before my mother died, I was pretty death haunted and death fixated and remain so. I think about death all the time, and um, I'm constantly aware, or try to be aware, that there's no time to waste. Responding to your quote, when you really fully understand that,
Yeah.
um, it's hard. It's still hard to live fully, but it does help you live more fully if you really get that there's an end and it might be coming soon. The last quote in the book, in some ways, is my favorite. And I thought Mae West was terrific. I
Yeah.
think I quote a few of her lines in my
Yeah, you
book.
do. Yeah, yeah. Good.
The funny one I quote that I love is somebody says to her, Ms. West, there are 8 handsome, muscular men waiting for you at home to greet you. And she said, I won't imitate her, but she said, well, I will. She went like, well, I'm a little tired tonight, so send one of them home. But the serious quote by her that I think it's the last one in my book, which is very basic, but it sums up what we're talking about. And I put it there for a reason to balance that other quote you mentioned by that Brazilian poet. I put at the end her quote where she said, it's true that you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough.
I remember my mom took me when I was a kid to see, I'm forgetting his name, but he was like he did talk radio was the show. What's his name?
Eric Bogosian.
Bogosian, right.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw him live.
Hmm.
And you remind me of him, this ability to just kind of tell these stories that are very um v- filmatic, visual. Um, and there's a way that it feels like I mean, how do you do that? How do you
Well, I gotta say, I love stories. I love music.
Yeah, you
I
were
love,
writing. Are you still writing the songs? Because I remember
yeah,
you working
that may
the
be my next
collaboration.
book. I started writing song lyrics and I got so deep into it that that's taken over and become like a book of
Is it, but
lyrics
who
and
were you
poems.
collaborating with? You were collaborating.
Well, I was initially working with um, the keyboard player for Elvis Costello, a guy
Mhm.
named Steve Nieve, and he invited me to write songs with him. Some of my lyrics have been put to music by the drummer and very talented musician beyond drums, keyboard, guitar, Simon Kirke, who plays drums for Bad Company, the band Bad Company. He's been putting my lyrics to music beautifully. It's pretty cool to hear your words in music, put to
Oh
music.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and well, you know that you had that great titled band. What was your
Daddy,
your band?
Daddy, don't go.
Daddy Don't Go. And I love, by the way, down in New Orleans, all over the stop signs in the Bywater neighborhood, on at the stop sign, uh, somebody wrote the word "don't" at the top and "daddy" at the bottom, so it reads "Don't stop, Daddy." Or, yeah, your
Well,
question.
when will we hear these songs? Are you gonna record them?
It depends. Simon has to put him out. I've talked to him about it. Um, he just got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Yeah, right
and
on.
so I said, "Man, you got the wind at your back. Put out a record, man. We got all this stuff. We'll see. I'll write to him tomorrow or tonight and remind him."
And what's
Um,
the book you're working on now?
that's the one. I'm working on a collection of poems and song lyrics,
Oh, that's
but
great.
but I think it's pretty. I'm pretty happy with it. It's probably the most fun I've ever had writing these poems and
No,
song
you
lyrics.
go. I mean, I remember one about a dentist.
Yeah, sex with your dentist. That's the subject of one of them. Yeah, and yeah, I'll send you some, but I hope that'll come out. I'm working on other stuff. I love writing, and I love stories, and that's for me what it's all about. Even the song lyrics, the poems, they're about ultimately, stories
Well,
and
speaking of that, let me ask you, are there any wishes that didn't make the cut?
oh yeah, you said the book's 279 pages. I think I
And
cut about an extra 150
wow.
pages. Yeah, which I hope to use in the future somewhere, not necessarily as wishes, but rework them, remodel them, reformat them. And there were some till the last minute I wasn't sure if they should stay or go, you know. I wanted to include friends,
Hmm.
especially friends I've lost, um, and family, both alive and dead. So my closest family members, my son, my wife, my parents, my uncle, who I'm very close with, are here. This book also, I wrote a lot about a friend of mine named Bob Neuwirth,
Hmm.
who died while I was writing the book, or
Yeah.
actually, I think just before I began writing it. I never wrote about Bob. I interviewed Bob for the Paris Review when he was alive. He died some years ago, about 3 years ago, and he was a great friend and a great mentor, the way Tom Robbins was. And like Tom Robbins, a wise, terrific person. One great quote by Neuwirth that I think about, bit of wisdom, is he said, to feel good, you don't need to do stuff that makes you feel good. You just have to stop doing stuff that makes you feel bad.
Oh, fuck.
So this book, among the many other things it is a tribute to Bob. You know, I wrote about Bob in the book. I didn't write a, memo- a tribute to him when he died, the way I did Tom Robbins. So I put it in the book. I
Yeah,
may ultimately write about Bob. So this book is
yeah.
not only a tribute to my uncle and my wife and my parents and my son, other family members, even my dog, who we talked about, but also to Bob Neuwirth.
It's a
You're my
phenomenal
friend.
book. It's a beautiful, it's just,
Thank you, Laura.
and
Well, thank you.
it
And it's
just
been great.
destroyed. I mean, I have so many things that I've outlined and that I've
Thank you. Well, we'll do it again.
dog-eared, and
Let's
it's just
talk again. Thank you.
okay. Everybody, definitely pick up. I wish. Say it. You say it.
I wish, therefore I am, or this here is a list of humble appeals to Dame Fortune.